between 2 to 4 years of training, which will include an apprenticeship under an experienced funeral director. A prospective funeral service professional should have a strong sense of duty and a willingness to serve others. I got my favorite Bible verse here. John 13:7 verse. Describes the spirit which one must have when you approach the funeral service profession. There's no greater work and no greater reward than being a servant to your fellow man. And that's essentially what you'll be serving your fellow man. You'll be a servant to society. And it will be, it's very rewarding. It's very rewarding for you. Now I'm going to move on to the duties of a licensed funeral director in Embalming. And basically I'm going to start with this word. I define this word. Professional. Professional defined as an expert relating to an occupation, taking part in an activity to make money, a person who has a job that needs skilled education or training. That's a professional. I'm going to professionalism, and I broke this down to these key words, and I want y'all to kind of take these to heart. Professionalism, the key words: competence, knowledge, conscientiousness, integrity, respect, emotional intelligence, appropriateness, and confidence. So what does those words make y'all? What do you think about? What do you think about when I say competence? Say it, boom! Wake up, bro. Competence. What is that word? What is that word? What does it make you think about? What's the first thing? Competence. Competence. You take your car to the mechanic. He fixes your car. Competent mechanic. Right? He's competent. You know what he's doing. Knowledge, competence go hand in hand. Conscientiousness. This one kind of rough. That's a long word. Conscientiousness. Think. Consider. Think before you act. Conscientiousness. Think about it before you act. Integrity. What we were talking about earlier. Integrity. Basically, be a stand-up guy. If you say you're going to do something, then do it. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Respect. We should all know about respect by now. Y'all are old enough. Respect. You give respect, you get respect. You get it. Emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is a little complicated, but basically, it's basically empathy. Okay, you have to, when someone's died and you have a family next to kin, you have to put yourself in their shoes. You have to kind of feel what they're feeling. How would you feel if you know your loved one passed, your mother, your father? Put yourself in their shoes. Have empathy. That's emotional intelligence. Appropriateness. Appropriateness. Know what to say, when to say it. What to say, when to say it. I mean, if someone just died, some stuff you just don't say. Okay? So you got to know what to say, when to say it. Okay? And confidence. Confidence, you need confidence for anything that you do. And confidence, once you get them 2 to 4 years of college, and then once you done your 2 to 4 year apprenticeship, you're going to have so much knowledge, you're going to be confident. And the confidence, when you get the knowledge, you'll get the confidence, it'll come. Because things will happen, you say, I know about that. I know what that is. You'll see something, I know what that is. Some situation will come up, I know how to handle it. That's confidence. But you have to get the knowledge. So that way you're not surprised. You're not surprised. And it'll come with time. But those words, you might want to underline them, get your ink pen and underline them. The funeral director's top priority is the needs of his client family. The funeral director is also the custodian of the deceased body. ensuring that the deceased's dignity is protected at all times and all due respect and care is given. The funeral service professional must also endeavor to fulfill the family's wishes as to the disposition and homegoing services of the deceased, all while making sure cultural norms and religious norms are followed along with the law. I'll put it like this: when a family calls you to handle someone's funeral arrangements, funeral services, and basically they trust you to do this. They've trusted you to do this. They have confidence you can do it. So basically, I take that seriously. Okay, you have to take that seriously. So basically, I basically, when a family calls upon me, when they hire me to handle the funeral arrangement, I'll approach it like this: I will beg, borrow, steal for my family. I will do anything besides break the law for my family, because the thing is that funeral, you're going to provide them value. And when they leave the grave site, when that service is completed, they're going to have closure. They should have closure, and they should be able to move on with their life. And that's the value that you provide. That's the value you provide. And sometimes that's worth more than money. That's worth more than money. And also, you got to do all that stuff and not break the law. Okay? So, and basically, you're going to learn the law, so you're going to know what you can and can't do. The role of the licensed funeral embalmer is vital in modern society. The funeral service professional is responsible for the removal and transport of dead human bodies, embalming, preservation and necessary care, dressing and casketing, and preparation for viewing, including but not limited to hair and makeup, in addition to any restoration that might be necessary, and oversees the execution of their chosen disposition with the proper authorities, certifies this through the death certificate. Funeral service personnel professionals also maintain a chain of custody and paperwork, including but not limited to burial transit permits required across state lines. Basically, you do the paperwork. In today's world, y'all are young, but you probably already know the world is full of paperwork. It's always paper. And even though people out here doing things, and you see them out here doing their job, when they get back to the office, there's a pile of paperwork that everything has to be documented. So we do the paperwork. The funeral service professional must work closely with authorities, such as local police departments, county coroners, medical examiners, hospital staff and nurses, healthcare workers, ministers, clergy, church officials and deacons, cemetery officials, airlines and travel agents, and the public at large. So you're not going to be stuck in office. You're going to be out in the world. Like if you like moving and you like to be jumping around doing different things, you'll be all over the place. You'll be all over the place. You'll be in the cemetery one, you'll be in the church over here, you'll be talking to the chief of police the next day, you're going to be talking to the coroner next week. You're going to be talking to a doctor about a death certificate. You're going to be doing many different things, and you'll never know from one day to the next what you do.
That's good communication skills. That's something I was telling them about. Every career that we listened to for the past 2 days has been communication. And our young people need to learn how to communicate. Because that gets you where you want to go in your profession.
Yes, communication. Because we all work together, even though I'm just a funeral director. I work every funeral. I have to arrange for the funeral procession. So I have to talk to the police department. I need you here this time, we're doing this. And they'll tell me, oh, we're short on officers. Well, can you give me one? Can you give me two? Can you do this? Can you do that? Yeah, we can do that for you. We can do this. Can you? But when we coordinate, we work together. The cemetery officials, I have to call. And basically, I make a lot of phone calls. I talk to a lot of people. You're running around and you're doing a lot of different things. Talking to a lot of different people. And the communication, I would say your communication skills, the 70% of this job, 67% of this job is communication, written and verbal. Written and verbal. Let me move on. Number 6, the funeral service professional is responsible for reporting to the following agencies. So these, basically, you can consider these our bosses, okay? The Alabama Board of Funeral Service, they license us. They license us, regulate funeral homes. Alabama Department of Insurance, we basically work with insurance a lot. Most funerals are funded with insurance, so we work with insurance a lot. And they also certify us to do prearranged funerals, so Department of Insurance. The probate court, whenever someone dies, it passes over, their property passes over into probate court. I got Judge Diamond on speed dial, I got to sell them. I talk to Judge Diamond all the time. Department of Vital Records, the death certificate is a public record certified by the Alabama Department of Vital Records. The funeral director signs off on the death certificate, so we're working hand in hand to certify the deaths with the Department of Vital Records. The State Department of Revenue calls the state, the government, death and taxes. That's your only guarantee of you all taxes. The Federal Trade Commission, we are regulated. The funeral transaction is regulated by the Federal Trade Commission. So you have to know Federal Trade Commission regulations in order to conduct a business. And then you have state professional associations. For us, that would be the Alabama Funeral Directors and Morticians Association, the Alabama Funeral Directors Association. And every state will have a different association. Now, some of the jobs that are in the funeral service industry, I started low and I moved up high, okay? So the first job is, I call it funeral home staff, attendant, and no title, okay? So this person here, these are the lowest paid positions. The duties of these jobs can vary widely between different funeral home establishments. Pay can vary wildly, okay? The examples are secretary, car washer, janitor, driver, on-call staff, service staff, groundskeeper. Now, even though these are low-paid positions, you won't need any college degree, you won't need anything like that. And all of these positions are important. All of this needs to be done. But basically, this is where typically most people start. If you were to go and go to a funeral home somewhere and go talk to a funeral director, and he would say, well, I started out when I was a kid washing cars. And basically, that's what a lot of them will tell you. I started out washing cars, and then they let me drive, and then they let me work funerals, and I cleaned up, and then I went to college, and they started on the bottom. So don't be afraid to start at the bottom. Ain't nothing wrong with starting at the bottom, because you get what I call an indoctrination. Okay, you'll see those funeral directors, and you'll see how they're carrying themselves. You'll see how the business is being conducted. Even though you're out here washing cars, you'll see those guys doing their job. So when it's your time to move up, you'll know what's expected of you because you already kind of been around. Because if you be around something, it'll kind of rub off on you, okay? So don't be afraid to start at the bottom.
Did you start at the top?
Ma'am?
Did you start at the top?
No.
Where did you start?
I started back there washing cars and cutting grass and cleaning up. And then I got to drive a little bit, and then I got to work funerals, and then I got to pick up bodies, and then I went to college, then I started at the bottom. So I started on the bottom.
And it helps you to appreciate
Yes.
every position, I believe, when you start on the bottom, because you know what has to be done. And then if you get in a type where there's nobody there,
You can
you
come back
can always go back to that position and do it again.
and fill in where necessary.
Fill in where
And basically that's the direction I'm getting. We're going up in pay, but we're gonna go up in responsibility also. The next spot is the apprentice funeral director your apprentice embalmer. And I said different states may give this job a different title, but the duties remain the same. This person is licensed as a funeral service trainee with this state, and their progress is closely tracked. These people will be considered management trainees in most organizations. These persons are paraprofessional, may have or be working on a college degree, training under the supervision of an experienced licensed person. The pay will be higher, but so will the responsibilities. The apprentice funeral director and embalmer will work very closely with their supervisor for 2 to 4 years before they are eligible for license. The duties for this position will be assisting the embalmer with preparation, assisting funeral director with families and funeral arrangements, working funerals, embalming, dressing bodies, working insurance claims, and assisting with paperwork and running errands. And that really is, it could be anything, okay? This is kind of a short list, but basically, you'll be doing two. If you're an apprentice, you'll be doing all this, but you might be doing some of number one too. Because the thing is, you're in training, so you're gonna have to be exposed to everything, okay? You're gonna be exposed to everything in a funeral business. And so basically, if you're an apprentice embalmer, that means when the embalmer goes to work, you'll be back there helping him, assisting him, and maybe he'll be showing you stuff. Maybe he'll be sitting in the corner telling you what to do. But the thing is, you're in training, and so you're working on getting your license, okay? You're working on getting your license. Now, the licensed embalmer. The licensed embalmer, this person is very interested in the art and science aspect of the funeral industry. This will be called a back house job. That's what they call it, back of house job. Because the public will not be privy to, and look at that, to the work of the embalmer. The embalmer is a person who during his or her studies has found that they have a knack for the sciences, biology, and their application to the embalming and preparing a body. This person has a deep understanding of the science of the embalming process and the art of restoration and presentation of deceased human bodies. Oftentimes, the embalmer's work is difficult and dirty, but the appreciation of the family is its own reward. The embalmer has an eye for detail. Through skill, chemicals, and cosmetics, the embalmer creates the illusion of life for the family's final viewing. The embalmer works mostly in the preparation area of the funeral home and rarely has to have contact with the public. Nevertheless, the success of the funeral home as a whole relies on the skill and experience of the embalmer. The embalmer is often one of the highest paid employees at the funeral home, and it has been said a good embalmer is never without work. Okay, so an embalmer, if you, like some people are not people. Some people are not people, okay? Some people, I don't know, they introverts, or they like this science, it clicks in their head, something about the science and the chemistry, it clicks. And so the embalming room, the preparation might appeal to a person like that. So you like the science, you like working with the body, you like doing cosmetics, you like doing hair, you like doing that, then the embalmer might be your spot. And so the embalmer is one of the highest paid people at the funeral home. I will tell you about the guy. I met a guy who worked at a high volume funeral home when I was in college. This was over 20 years ago. He was working at a very big funeral home in Atlanta, and he was making $3,000 a week as an embalmer at a very high volume funeral home, and this was 20 years ago. He was making $3,000 a week as an embalmer 20 years ago. Now that's a lot of skill. You can buy a lot of skill.
20 years ago.
That was 20 years. So imagine.
But you have to tell them how, why.
Well, basically, he worked.
Trading.
equals trade embalming, but you can make that on salary. You can do that on salary. Okay. But the thing is, if you invest in yourself and develop that skill set, the work is there, the money is there. Oh, I'm losing. They want to let me hurry up. Okay. I put the cosmetologist here because basically, after the embalming procedure, a lot of times, bodies will need more work. You need hair done. They want, perm. They need a perm. They want braid. They want nails. Or they want, you have to go an extra step. So either a lot of embalmers that I know also are cosmetologists. And a lot of male embalmers I know, their wives are cosmetologists. Or embalmers that I know, they go to the hair salon or somewhere and moonlight at the hair salon to get their skills up so that they can put those finishing touches on their body to get that preparation, just the presentation of your body. You think about the funeral home when the family comes in for that viewing, and when the body's prepared and it's presented well, you're a superstar. You're a superstar. So that will make you so proud. If you were an embalmer and you prepared that body, the family was very satisfied with your work, you are gonna feel like $1 million. You're gonna feel like $1 million, and they're gonna appreciate it. It's no job, like I don't care what you do, what are you doing, you will not see the appreciation that you will get from that family coming to that view. Okay, I mean, people, I don't care what you're doing, if you're a mechanic, but they're not really gonna get the appreciation that you will get from being the embalmer and doing, preparing those bodies and doing the presentation. It's priceless. It's priceless. Now I'm gonna move on to the funeral director, licensed funeral director, funeral planner, funeral arranger. Okay, so the funeral director is a people person who works very closely with the family and next of kin to provide meaningful funeral services. The funeral director is responsible for all aspects of the funeral home, must ensure that the business is conducted according to the law and acceptable business practices. Funeral directors are among the highest paid in the funeral industry. They make the most money, but they have the most responsibility of any job in the funeral industry. The funeral director maintains good working relationships with local authorities, state government agencies, ministers and religious organizations, hospitals, healthcare workers, and other death care workers. The director is expected to maintain the chain of custody for the deceased and be prepared to certify the body's disposition on public record. The funeral director must be someone of good character, forthright, honest, and square dealing. The funeral director may be required to counsel the family throughout the arrangements. Conflict resolution skills are a must. The person must have deep empathy and be willing to go the extra mile to fulfill the wishes of the family. The funeral director should also have a very good working knowledge of business and probate law in order to carry out their duties. Also, the managing funeral director must be knowledgeable in financial matters such as bookkeeping, accounting, insurance claims, estate claims, and debt collection. The funeral director is really, I could have done 2 or 3 pages just on the funeral director. The funeral director is basically, you might be doing anything, okay? Like I said before, there's so many aspects to the business, and it would take me 2 or 3 hours to go over everything. But basically, you will basically be working closely with families, okay? And they're gonna have things they want done. They're gonna have wishes that they want carried out, and it's gonna be your responsibility to honor those wishes and get that stuff done. And so you're gonna be. It's sometimes it can be stressful, but basically, if you have a knack for it and you like being challenged, then this may be the thing for you. Because if the people if the families ask you to do something difficult and you're able to pull it off and make them happy, you're gonna feel like a superstar. You're gonna feel like great because they're gonna appreciate what you have done so much. And it's a person, if you're a people person and you're willing to serve and you really want to help people, this could be film directing, film service could be a good place for you. Okay, because the thing is, if you're doing what you love to do, you'll never work a day in your life. If you find something you love to do, you'll never work a day. You love going to work, you want to be grand, I hate this. No. You will jump up and run because you love doing it and you're going to make a difference, okay? You're going to make a difference. So I put underneath the film director is the film planner and the film arranger. Okay. Basically, film directing is so broad, the film planner and film arranger just came out within the last few years, okay? So when I think of a film planner, think about Aretha Franklin film. Did anybody see Aretha Franklin film? Aretha Franklin, huge, right? Huge. Or Michael Jackson film? Whitney Houston. Okay, famous celebrities. Now they might have a funeral home administrating over the services, doing the paperwork and stuff like that. But they probably hired a planner to actually plan and execute that ceremony. Okay, and basically, the funeral planners, you're talking about a celebrity, you're talking about very elaborate or very complex funeral home, very complex funeral services, crossing state lines, multiple funeral homes involved. Someone's got to coordinate all this stuff. And that's when you're getting into the realm of the funeral arranger, funeral planner. And usually there's increased costs. There's increased costs along with that, but funeral planners may be licensed, may or may not be licensed. Okay? But that's kind of a niche. But basically, so I'm almost to the end. So the future of the profession is that's y'all. You're the future. You're the future. We need good people in the industry, good honest people in the industry that are willing, to take up this mantle. Because I mean, we're getting older. I mean, I'm third generation film director. I'm 43, and basically, we're getting older, and we need young people to get into the business. There's a shortage of people in the business.
When you say there's a shortage, what does that mean?
Basically, that means that there are funeral homes. Literally, they need embalmers. There's funeral homes in Atlanta. There's wait lists. They can't, like somebody died today, they'll schedule your funeral 2 a week, 3 weeks out because they don't have enough people to process your funeral, prepare everybody, do the paperwork, get everything done, and carry out. There's not enough people.
To qualified people.
Qualified people, okay? There's not enough trained people. And this thing with COVID has really exposed the shortage. It's been a shortage for years, but it's really coming to a head now because it's been years with basically the market just as far as trained people just is shrunk. It's shrunk because as older people retire, there are no new people, young people coming in to pick it up. So the actual number of trained people is shrinking. It's smaller. Now you might have to move somewhere. You might have to go somewhere. You gotta go where the money is. But I tell you that you will not. If you want to work, you will have a job. You will not be broke.
Bishop, tell them about the necessity to be trained. Anybody can.
We've gone all right.
Oh, okay.
We've gone all right. Yeah, but basically, well, as far as the training, I am gonna hit on that. I'm gonna touch on that again. Getting your education and becoming trained and becoming professional. I'm gonna roll back to professional. A professional, that's somebody who studies this stuff. When you say you're a funeral service professional, anything that got to do with funeral home, you should be like a sponge, soaking any information up. So when anything happens, you should have a working knowledge. That's why the funeral director, that's why I said it could be 3 pages. You are familiar with every aspect of the business. You might not do the embalming, but you know how to do it. You might not actually put hands on the insurance claim, but you know how to process it. You know what to do. And the people in your staff, they might assist you with these tasks. But it's important that you know what to do. You know how it should be carried out. That's what being a professional
And that only comes with training.
And well, it comes with training, but the thing is your licensure. I recommend anyone here. I don't want to see you as funeral home staff. I don't want you there.
You don't want to stay there.
I don't want you to stay there.
But don't stay there.
Your goal should be licensed funeral professional, licensed funeral and director, licensed embalmer. Because what the license does is just like your driver's license. You got the driver's license. It gives you the privilege to drive on state roads. Your funeral director license gives you the right to charge money. When you get that license in your hand and you walk in the door and you can say, I'm a licensed embalmer, you want me to embalm for you. You could be just like that guy was telling you, I need $3,000 a week. And they gotta pay. Because you got your qualifications and you can stand on your own. So basically, even though y'all still in school and y'all probably by the time you graduate, you might be tired of school, but you should continue and keep learning and keep growing. Even if it's not funeral service, pursue education. Get you an education and keep working. Because the thing is, college education, it might not guarantee you a job, but it opens the door. And it basically, statistically, it's been proven that you're going to come in the door at a certain pay level, simply because you got a degree. So you might have a degree in something else, but you won't be broke, and you'll be able to provide for yourself. So that's all I got. I made it. Do y'all have any questions? I know I'm sorry, Ms. Phillips, I ran a little long, but do y'all have any questions for me? Any questions? That's a very good question.
What did she say?
Okay. One of the things that you're gonna have to learn if you get into this business is you gotta learn to compartmentalize things sometimes. Okay? You gotta compartmentalize. So basically, like when you're at work, you're dealing with a lot of death, a lot of sadness. But the thing is, when you clock out or when you walk out, you go home, you got to leave that stuff down. You got to leave that stuff at work. And this is at work, and I'm done with that. So when I get home to my husband and my kids, I'm not worried about what happened back here. But I tell you, burnout is a problem, but you got to find ways, healthy ways to cope. One thing I say, that this is my vacation, you need at least 2 weeks of vacation a year. At least 2 weeks of vacation a year. You understand that? So you need breaks. And these breaks, and sometimes that's what keep you going. Because when you had a rough year and you're dealing with all this sadness and all that death and all the funerals, but you thinking, I'm going on vacation in September. I'm gonna keep working. Sometimes that'll give you just enough juice. I'm going to Hawaii this fall, you know, and sometimes that'll give you something to work towards. And it'll give you something to work towards. I'm going whatever. I'm going to Vegas. And sometimes that little bit, that reward for yourself will give you the spirit to keep moving, but you have to protect yourself emotionally. You have to protect yourself and find healthy ways to cope. Find healthy ways to do that. And do you go to church? Do you believe in God? You will. Sometimes you gotta pray.
No.
You know how to pray? Well, sometimes you just gotta pray.
I had to do that.
Yeah, that's it. But basically, that's what I do.
I'll put you first.
When I leave work, I'm done with work. I don't care what happened. I don't know what. I don't care what happened. When I go home, I'm home, and I leave work at work. And you kind of do it in your head. And you shut that door, and you clock out. You're done. Did that answer your question? Okay.
We heard that compartmentalized in with the police officers.
Yes.
Because the same thing that they see a lot. And it can affect their mental health.
Yes.
We actually, young people deal with a lot of things that can affect their mental health. And what they have to do is learn how to deal with them. That's very important.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Compartmentalized. You know what that means, though. You really understand that. You know? Okay. Let me see your little package. I gave you a package, right? So, let's say, when I say compartmentalized, let's say this is your brain. This is your brain, all right? You got a fan in your brain, right? You got a fan in your brain. And you got an ink pen in here, you got stuff in your brain. So let's say something bad, this is something bad happened at work. Something bad happened at work, right? I saw something bad. And when I compartmentalize it, basically, on this bad thing, I'm gonna put this in an envelope and I'm gonna throw this in my head. So that bad thing, that's over there. The bad thing.
So you buried it inside of
You kind of bury. You gotta draw a line in your head and say, I'm not dealing with that. I'm not dealing with that. That's not gonna touch me. But you do it in your head. You do it now, you just don't know you do it. Because bad stuff happens to you, right? At school, at home, whatever. And it hurts your feeling or whatever, but then you say, I ain't studying that. I'm gonna keep moving. And that's kind of how you have to be. You have to put that stuff away, put it in your head. Now, I don't want all in your bags. There you goody bag. Sorry. There goes your goody bag. But you compartmentalize your stuff. You put that stuff, put it in the car. Get rid of it. Because you can't let that affect you and break your spirit. Because you can't help nobody if you let yourself off, you ain't gonna be helping nobody. So you have to protect yourself emotionally.
I know we have some other questions.
Yeah, any more questions?
Have you ever been scared or nervous work with the bodies?
No.
Wow. So you know if this is for you because it just comes.
Well,
now.
the thing is, I grew up here. I grew up in the funeral business, and like I've been here since I was a little kid. So I was never afraid. I never remember being afraid. I don't ever remember being afraid.
Nothing to be afraid of.
No, nothing to be afraid of.
Of course.
Dead man ain't gonna do that to. Dead man is about to live people.
It's the live people.
Live
Be
people
afraid.
are dangerous.
Anybody else got a question? Got some more questions?
Any other questions?
You don't direct your own family, do you? It's like your own family does.
That's a good gracious, girl, you on the road. All right. Like I was saying, protecting yourself. Okay, so if basically, if I had a family member, like say my wife or my mom, I would not work on that because I need to protect myself. I need to protect myself. So I basically, and if you get into this business, you're gonna meet people. You're gonna meet people in college, and you're gonna keep in touch. And as you're working, you're gonna meet people, and you're gonna meet people, other people in the business. And so what I would do, I would call one of my colleagues, one of my friends from school or something, and I would say, look, my mom, my wife, you know, whatever, my friend that died, I need you to come prepare them for me. And that's one thing. And that's one thing about the funeral industry. When you're in the funeral industry and you're a funeral service professional and you call one of your colleagues, they're coming. They're coming. Because they know. They done been through what you've been through. And they know better than anyone else. So if I call one of my guys, they coming. Johnny on the spot. They're coming because we support each other because we all been through the same thing. So protect yourself. Don't take it if it's the case. And basically another thing I do is basically I look at each call as a case. This is a case that I'm working. And when you look at it, you're professional. You're professional. So I'm working this case. I'm embalming this body. This is a case. And I work that case until it's concluded. And that's another way that you protect yourself. So you got any other? Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. You got any more?
No.
You on roll. Y'all need to hurry up.
Anybody else?
What made you want to start working here?
Ma'am?
What made you want to start working here?
What made me, you know what, my mom made me work. Yeah. Well,
This is your summer job, right?
you know what, it was my summer job, my winter job, my spring job. You know, I'm gonna tell you, it's kind of like one of those things, like, if you just like say, if you hang around at the pool, you'll learn how to swim. Or if you hang around whatever at the mechanic shop, you'll learn how to work on cars. If you hang around at the pool hall, you'll learn how to shoot pool. So I just hung around the funeral home so long, I just learned how to do it. And it just, you know, I just been here so long, I just know how to do it.
We don't recognize the advantage of having family businesses where the children don't have to go out and hunt up another job, that this can be your summer job. Like a lot of kids say, I can't find a job. That won't ever be your case. So they need to think about having a business, having a family business, that it would be income for you and your children and your children's children. That's important.
Yeah.
I mean, it was your grandfather's business, but because your grandfather had his own business, and that's teaching them to be entrepreneurs as well.
Yeah.
Have your own business because your children and your children's children would never have to worry about work available, and that's important.
Well, yeah, that's a great point, and this is something like that y'all can take not just from here, from anywhere, but the only way to financial freedom and independence is business ownership. Business ownership. I mean, yes, you might start out working for someone else. You might have to start out working for someone else. But your end goal should be in business owning your own business. Because basically, once you own your own business, then you will have freedom to explore your other opportunities and reach your full potential. Because you can now, don't get me wrong, you can live very well working for other people. Like you can be a doctor and work for a hospital, and you can do very well for yourself. You can do very well for yourself.
But in most cases, in most situations, you have the most success and have the most freedom in your own business. And really, that's the American way.